morning. This is Shelter Tales, or if you're watching into the evening, good evening. With me today is Sandy Larson of Kitty Angels of, do you say of Coventry, or is it Kitty Angels of Connecticut?
It's Connecticut.
Connecticut, based in Coventry. So she's come a ways to see us today, and we're very grateful. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
It's fascinating and sad in a way to find out how many rescues there are in a small state like Connecticut, and it means there's a big need. I mean, I've never run out, I've duplicated a couple people because they've had different functions, but it's amazing how many rescues are in a small state like Connecticut. You go, God, what a pity that we still need this many. I mean, every rescue's hope is to someday put themselves out of business.
That's
I know
the deal. Yep, that's the deal.
You work especially with ferals. You do have cats for adoption.
Absolutely.
But you also tend to the ferals and the abandoned in the community. And a lot of shelters they'll take a feral in now and then if they have to. I mean, Connecticut Cat Connection's got room for ferals that are not going to be adopted, but they don't focus on that.
Right.
So your organization started around 1985. You've been with it since the beginning?
I founded it.
You founded it?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, I was talking to somebody else over there. They
That's
did not
okay.
tell me you were the founder.
That's
so
okay.
Thank you and congratulations. What? You've given me a little background off camera, but I know you have your biology degree. What possessed you to? And you worked for you were director of an anti-vivisection society, which is a very sad job to have. I can't imagine.
No, you can't.
I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to. We've seen enough, right?
Yeah.
But so you made the leap from there to, okay, I've got to help all animals. And what possessed you to start in 1985? Did you see a need in your community? Did you see a lot of kitties running around giving birth, or what was it?
Well, I was working for the Harvard Volunteer Humane Society, which I started in '79, and I started with that because they sent a flyer around the neighborhood and said, we're trying to build a shelter. Please come and vote and be there at the town meeting so that we can do this. And so that's how I started with them, started volunteering, and they were a great organization. They all volunteers. We met in the basement of the Harvard, it was Harvard, Mass, not Harvard University. And so I worked with them until '85, and they then voted to start euthanizing healthy animals on a limited basis.
They had to start?
No, they voted to start.
They voted?
Yeah, they voted to start, and it started with this one kitten that came in that had ringworm.
That's treatable.
Very treatable. And so I just said, I'm not doing this. So I started Kitty Angels up in Dunstable, Mass, which is right on the border of Nashua. That shelter is still there. My partner, Joan Abbott, runs our shelter up there, which is just called Kitty Angels. And then I moved down to...
I've been in that one. I'm sorry. I think I've been in that one. When I travel to different states, I look at shelters.
You could be. You could be.
Yeah.
So I moved down here to Tolland in '88 and started Kitty Angels of Connecticut.
Okay.
And all that time I was working as the scientific director for the New England Anti-Vivisection Society. I'm a microbiologist, and so I did that until 2000, but I was also doing the shelter at the same time.
So it's quite a background. That's a different background than most of the people we interview. Most of them don't have that experience, good and bad. You've had the bad experience.
Right.
So you started in, say, '85. How fast do you have a facility, or is it foster? Because we know a lot of people that just don't have a facility like Enfield Community Cat Project, but they have a ton of fosters. And so how do you work?
We have a big facility. We have a shelter. It's on my husband and my property. We have about 35 cats in the shelter now, and we have 5 foster homes. They mostly take kittens. We've also sort of poured over onto my porch.
You're up there in bedroom.
Yeah.
We're familiar with that story.
Well, my husband, we've been together 30 years. He's like, no, it's the porch, and that is it. So, nursing
my husband's
mother.
put in 30 years, and he just put his foot down. No more cats.
Oh, geez.
Well, we bought a catty. I'm like, but the other ones are using the outside. They love it. They're being very contained. But he said, no more cats. But that's just personal. I only have 4. So it does fill up quickly.
It
I mean,
does.
do people do people advise you, hey Sandy, I saw a mother cat under a shed, she gave
Yep.
birth, or she's going to give birth. You go out and trap them, and I'm sure neuter them, and
Well, we loan out traps. We try to get people to do it. However, last night I was down at Coventry Lake at, I don't even know what time it was, 9 o'clock, trying to find this house where there was a kitten with probably an eye that had herpes and was blown up. And so I was trying to get that kitten last night. So we do trapping. And we try to teach other people to do it too. I have a person named Dio Salsa in East Hartford who's been doing a lot. He's found Jesus, is what I call. He is really into this now, and he's cleared out like 2 whole colonies where he's gone in and spayed and neutered. We've spayed and neutered everybody. I have the leftovers that I'm going to keep because I think they're going to be able to be turned around.
it's not easy to trap cats that are outside either. They really don't want to be in that.
They're
They're kind of smart, and once you once you get one, we found the other ones that kind of go skittish.
Exactly.
And they get skittish because they realize you took somebody away. There is, but it reduces the population because, from my understanding of talking to other people like yourself, and it's a harsh fact of life. Outside cats only live about 2 years. So they're no longer reproducing, and they might have a 2-year, 3-year lifespan tops. But they don't get in fights if they're neutered.
Right.
So there's not a incident of passing FIV along or things like that, and they don't, of course, reproduce. I did hear, and I wonder if you did, because you have a deeper roots in the community, that there's coming out with a birth control pill, some kind of birth control process that you put in the food in these neuter colonies so they don't reproduce instead of having to surgically neuter. Which is expensive.
Very expensive. It's
expensive.
very expensive. Yeah. I can go through $7,000-8,000 in a month really easily with veterinary bills. Even though our vet gives us a good deal on it.
And the vets here are very generous.
Yes,
Most
they
of
are.
them do.
Yes, they
for
are.
the shelters.
Yes, they are. But there is a powder that has been out for a while, actually a number of years. It's called Feral Stat. And it's a powder that you put in the food. It's tasteless, and it keeps them from reproducing. That works pretty well, but you have to be consistent with it.
So you have to make sure that same cat is getting that food. You're saying over a period of time, or every day, or once a month, every day. Wow,
every day. So
it's good to know because I'm sure there are surgically. I've neutered all my animals, but surgically, it is very expensive, and you think, oh, it's so painful. And it's funny with my last little boy that I had neutered. He's walking away, and I saw those 2 fuzzy little things, and I'm like, wait a minute. Well, they don't take them off anymore. They said they want a little boy to feel like a little boy. They neutered him without removing his testes. And it was just funny because I see him walking away. It's like, what happened there? I paid for it. I hope they did it. You had a ginger on your Facebook that was beautiful because it's my favorites are ginger cats.
Oh,
They're so great.
They
ginger
really are.
Cats. Yeah.
They really are.
So how do you? So you got these ferals and you got the abandoned and the abused. Yep. I know a shelter I'm not going to name that refuses to take animals in from the area. Tries not to post where they are because they said, I'll give you another example.
Tries not to post where they are outside?
Outside of they'll take cats, and they take animals, but they'll try not to post where they are because they've had too many drop-offs.
Oh, yeah.
Kittens in cages. Like there was I told you about Montana over in East Hartford.
Yep.
He said 3 times he tried to leave the building to come here. And 3 times, every time he went out, there was a batch of kittens in boxes. And he's like, oh my God, So how do you avoid being the drop-off point for everybody's unwanted kittens and cats?
We do not have signs. There's no signs.
I thought the other one,
Absolutely not. We don't list our address.
Right.
Anywhere because it is a private home.
Right.
Plus, we have so many already, and our foster homes, we do put out calls for foster homes, and we've had some really great people. I have one woman in Andover who takes feral kittens, turns them around, and she is fabulous.
And about how old do you have to get a kitten feral before? Because I adopted one that never
Never
and I hate
came
to tell you,
around.
she escaped the moment she could. I trapped her
wow.
once. She got out of screen. I didn't know it was over. She trapped her again. It was horrible. It was like a struggle.
It really is, and once they're trapped, it is so hard to get them retrapped because
Right,
they're
right.
not stupid. I
Right,
mean,
right.
they're,
There, yeah, she was. It
they're
was
not
tuna
going
fish.
in
She
there.
did it
Tuna
second time.
fish.
Tuna fish.
Well, I use sardines are really good. Sardines are great because they're very stinky and the smell carries. But I've found also that the rotisserie chicken, like you get in the
yeah,
stores,
like that
oh
myself.
yeah, they like that.
Yeah, mine beg at the tip. Mine below and beg.
Exactly.
So there's enough abandoned cats that you get calls from other rehabbers and things like that you take versus
not other
finding them around or.
Actually, we get calls from people. We've taken probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 cats around Coventry that have just showed up. We just took one the other day, and they've shown up at somebody's house. Some of them really try to get in the house. You know that they were probably
dumped. Because a feral will not try to get in your house.
No, absolutely
right? And
not.
That's sad. That's sad.
And these cats have been just absolutely fabulous.
They're grateful.
Yeah.
I almost find that cats that get abandoned, I adopted some kittens, I adopted some older cats.
Yep.
But the ones that, the one that came from a hoarding situation with 39 other cats, he is so happy to be with me.
Yeah,
And
I'm
getting
sure he is.
attention and getting food. He was so food motivated when he came.
Yeah.
He was scared to death. He wasn't going to eat.
Yeah.
Skinny, worms. And
Joy.
2 or 3 times we had to worm him. But it was just, he finally has stopped being so extremely food motivated. He knows he's going to get it. And he's
Right.
very grateful. He's very gloms onto me. He wants to sleep with me. He leans up against me. And yeah, the abandoned seem to be much more grateful.
Oh, yeah.
When you take them
Absolutely.
in. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the ferals, we have, I don't know how many ferals we have in the shelter, maybe 15. And, people who come in and they see a feral and they say, oh, I really like that one. When can I take him? When they want to come around, if ever,
Yeah, right.
they will come around.
Yeah.
Period. And you can spend a lot of time with them. Sometimes that helps and sometimes it doesn't.
No, yeah.
I've got one cat that I had, I think, for 14 years. My partner, Joan.
Living with you? Living as a feral in your shut
in this,
You're an
and-
old timer.
God, her name is Aurora.
Oh,
Her name was Aurora. And my partner, Joan, trapped her in Concord, Mass. And she brought her down to me and she said, she's really coming around. Well, 14 years later, I could have just killed her.
Were you able to
years-
touch her even 14 years?
No!
Like,
and she looked at me, ears flat back, eyes like this, and hissing. Hissing.
All
It's
those
like,
years later.
thank you, Aurora, And we named her that because we saw the Northern Lights
Yeah.
the night that we got her, the day that we got her. But I always throw that back in Joan's face. Oh, she's coming
you gotta
around.
have one thing
yeah.
to hold over a partner or a husband's head. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. We've got a cat that's a spirit cat. And I mean, he lives on a chair. We got the catio now. We actually try to carry him. He will not be picked up. He goes berserk. We've
Yep.
tried to get him in a carrier because he's thin to see if anything's wrong. Screamed, scratched us and ran and hid for a week. I mean, I know he was eating because but I mean, he's totally content. I came home after being away a week and I actually felt something rub against my leg and I looked down, it was him. I almost fainted. 4 years, has never done that. 4 years,
Oh,
he
my
just
gosh.
rubbed against my leg. But he runs. If you look at him,
Right.
hey, Peppy,
Yeah.
and I just want to pet him. I want to groom him because he's got some clumps in him. But it's brutal. I mean, I
is.
expect him to, no matter how long he lives with. He had a tough. I was his 3rd or 4th owner. He was an outside
boy.
cat. He doesn't want to go outside. He doesn't want to go in the catio. He wants nothing to do with
I've
outside.
been outside. I've done that.
I've done that, been there, done that. You'd be a fool. I'm not
Exactly.
going to do it.
Exactly.
But so how do you, I'm coming back to the ferals a lot because I know how difficult they are to work with. Can they live together in a group as ferals, or do you have to separate? I mean, once they're neutered again, their aggression kind of drops.
Right.
But can they? I mean, because colonies live together. Feral colonies live together.
Feral cats are cat-oriented,
Okay.
period.
Okay.
They don't like people or they're afraid of people. but they love other cats
Okay.
because that's their security.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I didn't know
Absolutely.
that. Did not know that. Okay.
And even if you're putting in a new feral with other ferals, they go right to them.
That's amazing to me.
It really is. And
Because they're territorial. You know, cats are not dogs.
Yeah. And people come into the shelter and they see all the cats, and we don't use cages. The shelter is nice. It's all tiled, and they've got little steps that go up to shelves up on the top. And so they look around and they say, well, do they all get along? I'm like, yeah, they all get along because this is a group home.
Right.
It's not like your house.
Right.
Where you're the mommy and everybody loves you and they're all vying for your attention.
Yeah.
No. There's people that come in and out of there, they play with them, they clean and stuff, but it's a group home, and so everybody gets along. We have one that is sort of...
There's always that exception to the rule, isn't there, Sandy?
I'm telling you, this guy does not like other cats, and that's not the place to be if you don't like other cats. His
Holy
name
crow.
is Checker, and man, he is a pain in the butt. But he loves people.
No, isn't that weird?
You know, he's not feral though either.
Oh, he's not feral.
feral.
Okay. Yeah, then he has to just be an only child.
That's
we've
right.
Got a lot of shelters have only children.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. You have to advise you're not going to take another cat in, well, as long as you have this cat.
Exactly.
So go back to the ferals. Can you pet them when you're in there feeding them?
Sometimes.
Can you interact at all when you're in there?
Sometimes.
This is fascinating to me because I never thought a feral would have anything to do with a person. That's just my experience.
I've got several of them in my house that, I don't know what I was thinking, about 9 years ago, my mother and I were out trapping actually it was Windsor.
Oh, yeah, I come from Windsor,
and
yeah.
a big apartment complex, and we were out one night with traps, and it was freezing out. And we got, I think, 3 or 4 older kittens. So I brought them in, and I said to myself, I'll socialize them. Well, that was 9 years ago. And they're, idiot. They stay in the basement. They come up when I put canned food down. And we also have an outdoor enclosure called the Perfect Fence. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes, because I was thinking about that instead of a catio.
They're
but I put
great.
the catio up because only 2 of my cats will use it out of the 4.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's a smaller area for me,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and the one that we have is huge because we have 20 cats.
It goes down, right? It goes into the ground at some point. They can't go under it?
What it is that it's the fence that goes over the top like this.
Oh, it's a 45-degree angle?
Right.
It
goes over the top.
They can't jump?
Exactly. Or they can't climb upside down and backwards.
Uh-huh.
And then at the bottom of it, there's a wire mesh that comes out from the bottom, and you take those big U-hooks and you pound them in. So nothing can get in.
So nothing, yeah, because that's what I was concerned when I put the catio up. I was like, I don't want big holes. I don't want anything in there that can get them like a ferret or something.
Exactly.
But it's been a good deal. So totally at any one time, what is like the maximum that you've had in your facility there and in Concord? Is it as big a facility as the facility you're running down here?
No, this one's bigger.
Is it?
But Joan is out in the public more. She goes to, I think it's PetSmart up there, and she has volunteers that go every weekend.
PetSmart's very good for They are very wonderful for
they are.
shelters.
They are.
Yeah, they are.
And we did PetSmart for several years. And the problem was that I was having problems getting people over there.
Right, to stay.
To
during,
stay and
yeah.
to, go
Plus
over there
you have to
and
clean the cages in the morning,
Absolutely.
and you have to, you pet the cats, and also they're calm. But we've had, they go like that. That's where I got Freddie. I mean, at PetSmart, it was through a community.
We placed a lot of them there.
Yeah.
And so there was that problem. A lot of my volunteers work full time. And I'll tell you, I have some absolute angels. I have someone who's a retired military guy named Peter, and he comes every single morning. He feeds my horse, he feeds my goats, and my donkey. And then
you got any peacocks? Yeah. What are you trying Noah's Ark? Trying for Noah's Ark with all the rain we've had? Maybe that's the thing to do.
No, I know. Well, we have a lot of odds and ends. I have a Jersey steer who I took from a very bad dairy farm in the region, and so we rescued a lot of bull calves out of there that usually are turned into veal. So we have him. His name's Cabot, and
Havoc? His name is Havoc?
He's just an absolute love. But anyway, so he's there, and I think the most that we ever had in that shelter was 90.
That's a significant, a lot of feeding and care. That's a lot of feeding and care.
Yeah. It
Especially,
is.
but God bless volunteers. And I know like a lot of our volunteers and all the agencies that I interview here, they are full-time workers, but they put that time in, and it's almost, it gets into your blood.
It does. Yeah.
But if I'm not a religious person, but I keep going back to whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me. And certainly animals are so mistreated many, many times. Like, they are the least of us. So, so what do you have any way that you get the volunteer word out there? Just post it on your Facebook, like I need volunteers for here, here, here? Or?
We should put it on our Facebook more. But my experience has been that people come and volunteer. A lot of people don't really know what to expect when they come in. We try to tell them, well, you have to clean, you interact with the cats, you have to pay attention to make sure that you're not transmitting, viruses
make sure
here
they're
and there.
okay, or if you're dealing with a sick cat. Yeah.
Yep. We actually, so people come and go, but there are a few people that stay long term. I have a woman that started with me in 2001. And she comes every Monday night, and she has rarely missed a Monday night.
17 years of Monday nights.
She's incredible. Then I have a woman, when we had the shelter in Tolland before we moved to Coventry, who started in 6th grade, coming every week, and she is now 28, and she comes every week. And I can count on one hand the number of weeks that she's missed.
Yeah, they're the people that we appreciate so much. Somebody who works in my office has been doing the same thing for another shelter. She goes every Tuesday night and every Saturday, and she does not miss. I mean, like, she doesn't stay late on Tuesday because she's got a book out of my office.
Yeah.
Change her clothes and go to the shelter.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Raising funds is always a problem. I'm assuming you're a 501c3, a nonprofit.
Yes. Yep.
And so how do you raise funds? And do you have any fundraisers coming up? This will air in November, so it'll be for November or thereafter. You have any fundraisers you're thinking about, you want to talk about?
I'll tell you something. That's something we desperately need is a fundraiser. And we haven't had one in a long time. We have our sort of sponsors, people that, I have one person who lives in Hartford, and I, say, Tim, we have 5 dentals, that we need to do, and he will, he'll pay for them. And I'm sure you know how expensive dentals are there. Yeah. So, and people, I try to educate people because I was in education, and tell people how important it is, dental care.
It's really not what people think about for their animal. I think dogs have those chew bones, but cats, I'm trying to get them to eat those greenies, scrape the plaque off. But I remember having an old cat, and it was horrifying. I thought he was taking her teeth off, but it was dental plaque, and it does impact their health. It does impact their health.
Absolutely.
With infections and bloodstream infections.
It does. And just like people.
Yeah. You don't take care of your teeth, you get sick.
And I actually have to say that the veterinary community really came out with all of that about how the plaque, breaks off, and bacteria gets into your bloodstream, gets into your heart, anywhere. And I remember seeing many years ago posters in the vet, the exam rooms about dental care. And quite a long time after that, you started hearing that about humans.
The animals.
Hey, we're way ahead of you here.
Yeah, we're just animals, just another kind of mammal. That's all.
Exactly.
But I don't know how you do for food. But and again, you said, well, you don't post much on Facebook. But I have known several local. There are food banks in the area that will. A lot of food banks will have cat and dog food because they don't want people to give up their animals.
Right.
If they're tight, they don't want them to give up their animals.
Absolutely.
But this one particular shelter I'm thinking of, she posts if they're running low on food, and then she posts pictures of her front of her house. She can't get in after work. People sending from Chewy and Amazon. It might be something you want to do. Put up on.
That's
just
a great
because
idea.
90 that's a lot to feed.
It is
and a lot. But she'll just post, and then she'll say somebody say, you need me to come over and help you move it in the garage, and I'm thinking, ooh, the UPS guy must hate your guts because it's like Christmas, heavy boxes.
Wow.
But it might be something you want to do, and you and
That's
I
a
can
good
talk
idea.
about fundraisers afterwards because I'm helping several shelters do fundraisers in time. And so, we have to rely on our communities.
Right.
Because we're doing the heavy lifting. They benefit when they want to come and get a healthy. You want to get a healthy, taken care of cat. If you go to a lot of shelters, you're going to get a very healthy cat that's been vetted, that's been fixed, that doesn't come cheap, that's been flea dipped, that's been, so these shelters take care of everything.
Right.
And the small amount they asked for payment for these animals doesn't even begin to cover what they've spent before you get them. They're doing it very altruistically.
Yeah.
A nonprofit is an altruistic organization. So,
well, I tell people, because doing rescue really takes things out of you. I mean, it takes your heart.
Your heart
it
out
breaks
of you.
your heart.
Yeah.
I don't think I have one anymore. It's been broken so many times. But
you do. It's scarred, but you do, or you wouldn't still be doing this.
I know.
You do.
But I tell people that nobody can pay you enough to do this.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely not. It's your passion that sustains you.
And your good heart, because, like the yard guy that comes once every couple of weeks for me said, are you letting your cats run free? I went, oh, no. And I'm terrible. He goes, there's a lot of cats down by the water on your property. I'm like,
here we
dang,
go.
Why don't they ever come to my door? Then I'd have to say, Lou, look. Look. But, they're doing it. And I said, well, maybe I got to get a trap. I have a hard trap because I'm not down there when he sees them.
Right.
And his point was, there was a 40-pound beaver that was killed at the end of my property, and he figured a bobcat did it or a coyote.
Right.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
And that if you have cats running around, don't. But I was like, no. We get the catty out of the front. That's as far outside as they go. But it's I'm keep thinking now maybe I should just have a heart trap and go down and wait to see what I get down there. But the last time I did that, I got a possum and he was really PO'd.
Oh, I know.
Oh, and they stink when they're PO'd.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They poop when they're PO'd, and they stink.
They do.
So hissing, all those teeth.
They do the hissing, I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to dump the crate. But you're right. You don't do this to make any money. You don't do this to... You do it to get a star in heaven if that's what you believe in. But if there weren't people like you and people like the others that we interview here, it would be a sad world for animals. And we're beginning to, as a society, realize, I think, that they are worthwhile. I mean, there's a lawyer in Hartford that fights the abuse cases now. There's UConn law students that fight the abuse cases.
Yep.
They're not just animals anymore. We've had this for years and years. Well, it's an animal. It's an animal. I think it comes from our past, farm animals working.
Right.
It's really a thinking, sentient little being,
And it's interesting because when you talk to anybody, it doesn't have to be a rescue person, that our feelings about animals really fall on a spectrum. And you have, at one end, you have the utilitarians. Animals are here for us to use. We use them, like the Descartes, they don't have feelings. We just use them and that is it. This is my own interpretation from doing this for this long. You get up partway in the scale, and you have dog and cat people. I'm not talking about everybody that's a dog and cat person, but the vast majority of people that have a dog or a cat or multiple, dogs or cats,
animals in their house,
and they focus on that. They love their animals. They care about them, and so you have that. And then you move a little bit further. You get people that love dogs and cats, but they've sort of extended their circle of compassion and maybe are, concerned about wildlife, hunting issues, this sort of thing. And you get down to the far end, you have the Animal Liberation Front, you have, people that, like PETA, and I'm not bad-mouthing them at all.
I understand that.
And they, I'm sort of like down near this end. I don't usually talk about that, but that was my past, and
Well, because of what you saw in the vivisection, yeah. Nobody. I can't stand to even think about somebody looking, a bunny having my mascara put on its eyelashes to make sure I'm all right, you know?
it's you can't unthink those things.
You can't. Well, you can't unsee what you see
can't
either.
uns-
That's
yeah.
the problem. When you close your eyes, you cannot unsee.
You cannot.
So yeah, but if it weren't for people, you schlepped in from Coventry. You got 90 animals to take care of, plus all your farm animals.
All the farm animals.
You got to whisper your address in my ear later, so I can
Don't
come
do
out and
that.
visit. But if you give your Facebook page, we're winding it up. So if you give your Facebook page information, how people can get a hold of you to volunteer, to help with funds, or to adopt, and if you would give
be-
that.
was our Facebook page, and I am so embarrassed right now. I don't do anything with our Facebook page.
But at least they can see, and then they can go to PetSmart. It links you into PetSmart, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
It's Kitty Angels. Oh God, I don't even know.
Kitty Angels of Connecticut, is it?
Kitty Angels of Connecticut.
Of CT.
Of CT. Yes,
Kitty
that's
Angels of
CT.
CT.
Yep.
And that will link you over to the available animals for adoption.
Yes, it will. And we're on Pet Finder, but we always have animals every day. You know, up new animals. We've had a ton of kittens this year because and a lot
We're
of them.
still having kitten season. It's late. I know everybody's still having kitten season. So please
Yep.
go visit Sandy's site, Kitty Angels of CT. They're listed in Coventry. It'll flip you over to Pet Finder.
Yep.
She does need help with some food if you can do that. I mean, Chewy.com's wonderful about discounts. Amazon.com, they deliver. And I'll talk to you about fundraisers later. And I appreciate so
Perfect.
much you coming because you got a busy, busy, busy schedule.
Thank you so much. I really
Such a pleasure
appreciate
meeting
it
you. Pleasure
very
meeting
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And see you next time. Thank you.